Garrick, who cares?
Well, the queen is particularly good because flying creatures, especially a creature like Desecration Demon, has always been such a problem for the green deck. You even had to board in cards like Plummet and Arbor Colossus just to deal with it. Now you have a card, an Ant Queen, that you can actually search for with Garrick, with Court of Calling, and suddenly you have a great answer to Desecration Demon and other flyers.
And Michael Porter can't even attack. He just fires off a Hero's Downfall, takes care of Nissa, and passes the turn back. So the brakes are certainly on here due to the brand new Hornet Queen. Anderson's going to draw cards. A Courser of Crewfix. You see that land that has a die on it. It's a 4/4 from Nissa. Todd does have another one in his hand. Also does have that brand new Courser of Crewfix. So looks like he's going to start by activating Nykthos for a whole bunch of mana. And that's where this deck gets very, very scary. So here comes the Courser to start things.
Yeah, so
Top card will be a Burning Tree.
5 mana left, and he can play that Nissa again. And again, Todd's in pretty good shape here. He basically has the board clogged up. If he can just keep that Nissa in play, he'll be able to eventually win with that. Michael already used one of his Hero's Downfalls, and he really doesn't have a way to attack Nissa currently. So Todd in pretty good shape, despite the fact that he has no cards left in his hand.
So Todd there activates Nissa, makes his land into a 4/4. He's going to sacrifice Elvish Mystic to take care of the Demon, which means that these lands can certainly get in the red zone right now. You see Porter's mana base, no Mutavault hiding out there, so those Pack Rats are very clearly just 2/2s for 2. Todd's got enough ammo on the board to keep that Desecration Demon in check for a very long time, so now he's just going to get in the red zone.
Wow, so attacking for 8, 10, 12, 16 right here. And
I would do some blocking.
yeah, Porter just has 2/2/2 rats in play.
And the rats don't even really have favorable blocks at this point. Anything that blocks, they're just going to trade with, and then obviously the rats are going to scale down. Todd has played mono black or black devotion decks a lot, so he knows for 1 black mana, what's the worst thing you can do? Basically nothing.
Yeah, nothing. Really nothing Michael can do right here. And yeah, even if he does block here, he's going to lose both his Pack Rats, and then he's still facing an army next turn. So let's see what Michael decides to do.
I'm not sure if there's a great thing for Michael to do here. You see Todd with his hands folded, patiently waiting for Michael Porter to block, knowing that he's going to lose some of his creatures from this attack. Just going to block with 1 Pack Rat, so it looks like we're going to get some damage. There are 4, 5, 6, the Queen, and then all of its Hornets. So a bunch of damage will be dealt. The dust will settle. Porter will have a 7/7 Desecration Demon and a Pack Rat, but oddly enough, again, in the past, it would be Todd who's under the gun, but these new cards are providing a huge advantage for him.
Yeah, Nissa making 4/4s, and really the Hornet Queen giving him the time, and now a 6 power in the air. It's just really, really an impressive card.
Hornet Queen's actually, in the position that he played it in, as Porter's going to play Immutable, it's actually terrifying because, you know, there's no attacks that Porter can have. You know, a lot of the time when you think of a card like Hornet Queen, it makes those tokens. I think a Master of Ways, oh, just kill the Hornet Queen.
Yeah.
And then the tokens will go away and I can keep attacking. It's like, no, if you kill the Hornet Queen, I don't care. You can't get through these Death Touch tokens.
Yeah, and it's not like Hornet Queen gives the creatures Death Touch.
Yeah.
They have Death Touch. So if you get rid of Hornet Queen, there's still going to be 4 flyers in play that all have Death Touch.
Top card of Forest there for Anderson. Court of Calling comes rolling off the top. Brand new card there as well. Not going to be able to cast that one this turn. Not sure if he's even going to need to next turn. See, Todd's going to roll up the Nissa again. That elevator only goes up on that card. Going to make that Forest into a 4/4.
It looks like everything's going to come in this turn.
Yeah, that Forest can't attack because it just came into play. So I have to make sure that he doesn't attack with that one. But he can get in there with everything else.
Yeah, so it looks like he wasn't. It looks like he was going to hold it back.
Yeah,
Either way.
We know, if you just take a look at the board, I don't think that there's any good blocks that Michael has. So everything's going to come to the red zone here. That one Forest is going to hang back on defense, of course. There are no good blocks, and Michael Porter is going to concede the game. So Todd Anderson is going to win game number 1 here over Michael Porter. Mono Green Devotion, even though it stumbled a little bit, it caught up very quickly up again over Black Green Devotion.
Yeah, Burning Tree Emissary proving to be an all-star, as always, in Nykthos decks, allowing them to get both Elvish Mystics into play.
I think we forget how good that card is.
Yep.
We haven't seen it for, what, basically like 6 months?
No, you see it like randomly. I mean, there was a time where I thought Mono Red Devotion was going to come back, you know, especially when Tom Ross won.
Sure.
I know Patrick kind of felt that Mono Red Devotion was a good choice right after, you know, that Boss Ross slide deck was running around. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, it's probably, if Todd's deck proves to be as good as it looked in the game 1, I mean, you're going to see a lot of Burning Tree Emissaries in the coming weeks.
Chances are. We'll take a look at Michael Porter's sideboard first. You have that in front of you. He's got to stop the Green Menace.
Well, he definitely gets a lot of help after board. He's got 3 copies of Lifebane Zombie, which have obviously always been good against Mono Green Devotion. 2 copies of Doomblade. He's got 2 Drown in Sorrows, which obviously are very, very effective against a deck like Mono Green Devotion because of all the mana ramp creatures they have. He's got 2 Dark Betrayal, which obviously don't come in, 3 copies of Duress, which historically you didn't bring in. However, with Port of Calling, maybe, but in general, I think it's just not good enough. There's just too many cards that you can blank on. So that's probably not coming in. 2 copies of Erebos and a Golgari Charm. Really, the main cards I see are the Doomblades, the 3 Lifebane Zombies, the Golgari Charm, and the 2 Drown in Sorrows. I think all those cards are going to be really effective. And this is where Todd's deck really needs to kind of come up with a plan, because game 1, you're pretty good. You could still lose to random Desecration Demon draws. But after board, they have a lot of cards that are good against you. Between Thoughtseize, Lifebane Zombie, now more Doomblade type effects, and then the sweepers, it's going to be really tough for Todd to win game 2 and 3.
Yeah, you mentioned about 8 different. You mentioned 8 cards overall there. 3 Lifebane Zombies, 2 Doomblades, 2 Drown in Sorrows. That's 7. Then 1 Golgari Charm. Those cards aren't just good; they're great against this deck.
Yeah,
those are high impact cards.
I mean, Lifebane Zombie. I played Mono Green Devotion a lot in the past too, and Lifebane Zombie was always so frustrating because not only could it strip a great creature from your hand, but it can also start attacking Planeswalkers, which is obviously a problem that Michael had game 1. So, yeah, it always gets tougher for the green decks, and there's really not that much great cards that Todd could bring in. I mean, nothing as devastating as what Michael's going to be bringing in.
Other side here for Anderson, he's got a Reclamation Sage, 4 Nellius Disciple, Phyrexian Revoker, 4 Mistcutter Hydra, 3 Cetessan Tactics, an Unravel the Aether, and a Phyto Titan, the brand new 7/2. I mean, it kind of speaks for itself, right? The Titan is pretty good in this matchup because it can't die, but, that's kind of an expensive card. And then the Tactics are perfectly fine, but if things go the way that I believe Porter wants them to go, Anderson's never been able to generate a huge advantage with that card.
Yeah, and that's kind of the problem with, you're never going to have that many creatures in play against Black Green Devotion after board where Tactics are going to be that great. Plus, there's so much spot removal that sometimes it just won't matter. And Phyto Titan is another cute card, but again, if you're able to Court of Calling something that big into play, you're probably in good shape anyway.
Chances are you're doing okay.
So yeah, I'm not sure how great that card is as an option, but we'll see.
We're underway in game number 2. Porter just starts with an Overgrown Tomb tap before passing the turn back to Anderson, who played a Forest and an Elvish Mystic. A swamp here for Porter, just going to pass back over to Anderson. One thing you'll notice about Todd's hand right now is he does attack here for 1, putting Porter down to 19. A lot of lands, in the hand. There's also a Garruk and then a Court of Calling. He's going to play Nykthos and pass the turn back right now. Honestly, I kind of like this keep because this is a keep that's very good against Thoughtseize.
It's very good against Thoughtseize, and it's good against Lifebane Zombie, but again, if Michael just plays like a Nightscape, a Nightveil Spectre here, or even an early Desecration Demon, you can just lose with this type of hand.
That's what you mentioned during the sideboard.
It's very risky. Yeah, so I'm not sure I love the keep. It definitely is good against like Thoughtseize, but even then, you're still left with a bunch of lands. So let's see what happens. Michael's just going to play an Underworld Connections, trying to build up his advantage.
Hey, and that's scary too, honestly. I mean, Underworld Connections on an open board, he's going to go down to 18 and draw a card right now. It's also kind of a nightmare here because now he starts to generate some card advantage. Anderson's not really doing anything as Porter did draw a copy of Golgari Charm. So, I mean, it seems like most of Porter's cards, we're going to be good in this situation. You mentioned Demon. We mentioned, hey, Lifebane Zombie, Nightveil Spectre, or just something as simple as Connections here on an empty board.
Yeah, and I get Todd's reasoning behind keeping a hand like this, but it's very, very risky because there are just so many, Black can put on the beatdown sometimes,
Here's a Court for 1 on the end of turn. Going to go get an Elvish Mystic. Looking for a little bit of mana, and I understand why he's doing this. This is going to put him up to 5, and assuming that he gets to untap with this, even though Porter is kind of gripping that Golgari Charm right now, he's going to work his way towards a Garruk, Caller of Beast, a card that is just a 2 of in his list. We've seen former Green Devotion decks before M15 rolled out where they did play a lot of Garruks, and so now here is a Garruk, and that elevator's going up.
I am shocked that Michael didn't just kill the Mystic, because if Todd's courting for 1, you have to kind of suspect what's going on here. He's trying to either get to 5 or 6. Either way, you don't want him to get to that. So you have to just Doomblade the Elf there. Unfortunately, he did it, and now there's a Garruk in play, and Todd reveals 3 creatures off of it. 2 of them are really good in this matchup in Palochronos and Corsair.
Yeah, the third one, Burning Emissary, certainly fine because there's a Nykthos in play right now. Porter's going to activate that Underworld Connections, go down to 17, draw 2 cards overall as you just start his 6th turn here. This will be 3 mana. This feels like a hero's downfall, and it is. But basically the card advantage that's generated may be too much already. Well, here's a thought, Steve. So I do take that back. That'll be able to take the best card, which might be that Nissa World Waker that's in Anderson's hand. You see the cards here: couple of forests, 3. Then you got a Courser, the Pulachronos, the Burnished Emissary, and the brand new Planeswalker.
Yeah, if you can take the Planeswalker, I think you're probably okay, because you're basically just Pulachronos is the only heavy beater in there. Coursers obviously can be frustrating because they can grind you out. But you have to take the Planeswalker.
Not quite sure what the draw was. Okay,
Oof.
I do know what the draw is now. It was a copy of Genesis Hydra. We'll get there hopefully soon. But Todd's going to do his thing here with the Burnished Emissary. Now it looks like he's going to deploy Pulachronos, and he does have enough mana all in the same turn to play Burnished Emissary, activate the Nykthos for the Pulachronos, and take care of the Pack Rat. So this is a good turn too. Monstrosity's going to put that thing up to a 7/7, and Pack Rat's off the table.
So Michael here, under a lot of pressure. I believe he still has a Doomblade, so he could actually cast Drowning Sorrow that he has in his hand, and maybe also deal with the Pulachronos this turn.
Not a bad turn. Not a bad turn at all.
He has 4 mana. I believe he does. Yeah, looks like he does have a Mutavault in his hand as well, so he can go up to 5.
So we could see a Doomblade on the World Eater, and then a Drowning Sorrow to take those other little mana accelerants out of play, but more importantly, slowing down Nykthos.
Yeah, if I'm Michael, I think I just want to clear the board as much as possible. Todd doesn't have that many cards left in his hand. You thought seized them, so you know what it is. You know there's at least one Courser. So if I was Michael, I would just get rid of that Nykthos.
So he's going to take care of this first with the Doomblade. And Drowning Sorrow is the front card in his hand, and it looks like he's going to cast it as well. So 2 spells, going to clear the board here for Porter. Also gets the Scry. So not a bad turn here for Michael at all.
Yeah, pretty good follow-up to Todd's explosive turn.
Well, Todd's next turn could be pretty explosive again. Does have a copy of Genesis Hydra in his hand, couple Forests along with a Courser. So we'll see how he wants to deploy on this turn. Burnished Emissary is the draw here as well. You can definitely see how much better green has gotten.
Yeah.
It's very, very obvious.
Wow, so he hits a land too, gains a life. Now does he have enough to cast the Hydra this turn with the Burning Tree? Hydra, I believe, is 5.
He's just going to play Burning Tree, pass the turn back. The top card, very important. We saw how good Hornet Queen was game 1. It's going to be good now, too.
Yeah, there's just so many fatties that Michael has to contend with here.
Hornet Queen just spreading 6 power out on the board among a bunch of creatures. But honestly, the thing that's, it's not even so much about the power that's spread across, it's the text on Hornet Queen. Flying and Death Touch.
Yeah.
And, the creatures that it creates. That, I think, is actually the scariest part of the card.
So Michael's in a tough spot here. He already used his Drowning Sorrow. He does have a Golgari Charm in his hand, so he can deal with the Hornet Queen tokens.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Here's a Pack Rat. Just going to pass the turn back. Has the ability to either activate Pack Rat or Underworld Connections. Has the Connections in his hand. Anderson's going to reveal the top card. It's a Forest, so that's going to come into play. He's going to go up to 21. We'll see what the top card is in just a moment. It's a copy of Voyaging Satyr. Not all that impressive at this point.
It looks like Porter had another copy of Underworld Connection in his hand, too. I kind of would have preferred drawing a card with his one he has in play and then just casting a second Connections.
Yeah.
Just because you have a Gray Merchant in hand, so you can regain some of the life you're going to lose from the attack. But Pack Rat's not really doing you much this turn. Like, you're not going to make a guy and block, right? So you're effectively not really doing anything by playing that Pack Rat. So it would have been better as a connection, I think.
Here is the Hornet Queen. I think the thing that's really interesting about these 2 games that we have watched is that Pack Rat, for the most part, has not been very impressive.
No,
on the other side of the table.
Which is why I'm surprised that Michael keeps, putting such a premium on it. It's really not doing that much. And now he discards the Connections. I think he just really, the only way he's going to come out of this and deal with all the fatties that Todd's drawing is by drawing out of it. Like, he needed to hit a Lifebane Zombie last turn. He needs to hit more removal. He has a Golgari Charm to deal with the tokens, but he still has to deal with the flyer, and I'm not sure I love how Michael's line right here, but let's see if he's able to draw his way out of it.
He picked up a land for the turn there. Again, he's got the Charm, he does have a Connections in play, along with a Gray Merchant in his hand. So there is the Charm. That's going to give everything -1/-1. So get those tokens out of here. Also, the important thing here as well is that all Todd's creatures right now that are in play are 1/1s.
Yes.
Now, Porter's Pack Rats are also 1/1s, but he can make them a little bit bigger with Pack Rat activation, or, of course, activating Mutavault. So see what route he wants to go. There's 2 cards left right now. Again, our Gray Merchant of Asphodel and a Temple of Malady. He looks like he may have some interest in attacking, and that's exactly where he's going to go.
I think he has to attack, because if his line was, Pack Rat, then he has to keep attacking and try to put pressure on Todd. he does have that Gray Merchant in his hand, so that life swing could be huge. So let's see if this line works out for Michael.
So Michael, after damage is dealt, going to put Anderson down to 17. Todd going to reveal a forest off of the Courser.
It's just hard to win a life race when there's a Courser in play.
Yeah, it's difficult. Top card's another forest. Todd's starting to organize his mana here. It might be time for that Hydra. Another brand new card that is available in this deck as Todd does separate his mana a little bit. Let's also keep in mind one thing here too, Osip, is that for the most part, Todd's draw wasn't very good this game. You know, he didn't really get the party started very early.
Well, his opener wasn't good.
Yeah.
And Michael really didn't take advantage of it by doing anything. I think there was one turn where he might have just put too much value on Rat early on as opposed to drawing cards with Underworld connections. But either way, here comes Genesis Hydra, the sweet new M15 rare.
That is a lot of cards. That is a 10-10. When you cast Genesis Hydra, reveal the top X cards of your library. Maybe put a non-land permanent with converted mana cost X onto the battlefield and shuffle your library. And it, of course, comes with X+1/+1 counters. That thing is a 10-10. Hornet Queen's going to come into the red zone. It just kind of threw Apollo Chronos in play. No big deal.
So Todd basically just put 15 power.
Whatever.
15 points worth of power into play.
Look, this is what we have to call like a fair Bloodbraid Elf.
Fair, yeah.
You have to work for this Bloodbraid
That
Elf.
is a fair Bloodbraid Elf. That is correct. So 10-10 Genesis Hydra puts in the Apollo Chronos into play, and he reveals a
Whatever.
on top of his deck
Who
as well.
cares?
Wow. So Todd's deck is humming along right here. A well-oiled machine.
I'm in love.
It is a fun deck.
I like what I see. I like what I see here quite a bit.
I'm surprised he doesn't just add black to put Garrick, the big Garrick, the
Yeah,
black-green
yeah,
Garrick, Apex
yeah.
Predator.
I wouldn't be surprised if
Get
that's
some
the
more
direction you
fatties
can
in
go.
there.
The mana's easy.
Wow, so yeah, Michael's under just too much pressure here. Now Todd's gonna draw a Nissa. He's got Apollo Chronos on top of his library now.
He can go fighting with the one that's in play. It's a little bit risky, obviously, because there's 5 mana available.
Yeah.
So it's good removal spell in response to Monstrosity. But Todd might be in a situation here where
Well, that
if you
means
don't
that
have it,
10-10's not dying.
yeah, that's true. That's true. If you don't have the removal spell, you're dead.
Yeah.
So it might be worth it just to fire off here, and he can generate a boatload of mana with the Nick, though. So Todd
Yeah,
Anderson
he's a
has,
Voyaging Satyr in play as well.
yeah, he's been doing it for a long time with mono green. And the thing that's interesting about this deck list here is that, you know, there's a lot of different ways you can go. Is going to deploy a Nissa World Waker. You know, there are no Compass Vitalon Blossoms in this deck.
Nope.
That's a very attractive card to kind of bridge the gap into your later game, but you may not have to go that route.
Yeah, I think with the new Planeswalkers and Court of Calling, you can just kind of go for this Silver Bullet strategy more. I don't think you need to be as cute with Eidolon. Perhaps putting Eidolon in the board might be worth it just because against control decks, obviously, a lot of these cards don't matter as much, so Eidolon could be a much more effective threat against control. So I could see boarding into an Eidolon Blossoms deck. But game 1, I kind of like how his deck is set up.
We're generating a boatload of mana here with Nykthos and Voyaging Satyr. Anderson's basically, yeah, apparently it's 26 is what we were being told right now. So basically what Todd is doing right now is he's putting Porter to the test here with the Monstrosity on Pulachronos. Either you have a removal spell like Hero's Downfall or Doomblade, or you don't.
It doesn't look like he does.
So it's going to be, it looks like some damage over that way. So that's going to die.
Oh, so it looks like Todd hedged a little bit just to make sure in case he had it, so he wanted some mana still in his pool, but
I actually kind of like that play. I do. Because if you generate that much mana, what I believe you can do is you can activate Monstrosity. If they kill your guy in response, you can activate Monstrosity again.
Yep.
Yeah, so. What a surprise. He knows how his deck works. Shakaru. Yeah, Hero's Downfall going to take care of that large Genesis Hydra. With some creatures coming in the red zone yet again. Hornet Queen flying in the air. Pulachronos and that forest coming across. Pack Rat with decent blocks. He can turn them into 3/3s with the Mutavault that's in play, but it's nothing all that attractive at this point. Might just have to chump block, because one thing to keep in mind here as well is that Porter's at 9. Todd's been chipping away.
yeah, he has to chump block the Apollo Chronos. He has no other choice. So he's going to go down to 3 here. He's going to take 6, yeah, dropping himself to 3.
And Anderson going to confidently pass the turn back, as I would too. Porter going to draw a card. You see his hand, it's a Swamp and a copy of Grey Merchant. This is the Desperation. Going to gain 2, 4, 5. Porter's going to go up to 8. Anderson's going to go down to 14, but we know which player has the better board here.
Yeah, and plus Porter just tapped out to do that. So with Todd has Apollo Chronos on top of his deck. So if he wants, he can just cast it. He'll kill his own, but he'll be able to wipe off Michael's board potentially with all that mana. And then that should be enough. He has enough attackers with the Burning Tree and the Corsair to do 8.
Anderson will untap her. We'll see if he does come to the same conclusion that you just have.
He basically needs to be able to generate 21 mana, which I think he can.
You said that so cavalier.
Yeah, 21 mana should be cast Palakranos, then Monstrous it for 8 or 7. Yeah, you should be able to kill both creatures with Palakranos right here.
Yeah, he's going to reaching right now. He's going to activate Nykthos here for a whole bunch of mana. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And once we count that Nissa, going to drop Palakranos into play. He's going to lose his other one here in just a second. But he's going to generate a bunch of mana. Maybe he
Don't think he cares.
Yeah, maybe he forgot to work that in his calculation, but I still think he can generate enough mana to clear something out of the way and then get the job done because of Voyaging Satyr and Nykthos.
Yeah. So generate enough. He basically needs to do 4 damage to each creature, so he has to do it for 16, so 17 mana, which looks like he has.
Must be nice just to have 17 mana. No big deal.
Slaughter Pact does not exist, so
Yeah,
he
no,
doesn't have to worry about anything.
No, it doesn't.
And Todd can swing over for 10, and this should be it.
That'll be an attack for 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and that is an extension of the hand. Todd Anderson is going to win this match over Michael Porter, 2-0. Mono Green Devotion looking very impressive against what might be the former boogeyman of the format and Black Green Devotion.